Hey, Ducks hockey and more coming back at you. NHL playoffs are right around the corner, and I wanted to just talk about some general NHL news, some rumors, the playoff picture. You guys better stick around. All right, hey guys, welcome back. Ducks hockey and more coming at you again. Listen, it's what, March 26th, the weekend. Playoffs are literally just a few weeks away. Most teams have about 10 games to go, roughly. It varies, 10 to 12. So the playoff picture is starting to take shape, okay? And there's a lot of wild card positioning, which is kind of fun to watch, to see who gets in and who doesn't make it, that kind of thing. So I'm really excited to watch the wild card race. But I think the top teams, as far as each division is concerned, are pretty much set as of right now as you look at them. But I wanted to get into some NHL news, just some injury updates and things of that nature. Let's just dive right into it, right? So the Ottawa Senators, who recently acquired at the trade deadline Jacob Chychrun from Arizona, well, Chychrun is out. He's out with a lower body injury, at least for a few weeks. This kind of hurts Ottawa, you know. Ottawa's still in the running for a wild card spot. If they can string some wins together here with the last few games leading to the playoffs, and the teams ahead of them falter in any way, go on some losing streaks, Ottawa has a chance, right? They still have a chance. Mathematically, they are still in it. So having Jacob Chychrun out of the lineup for a few weeks is not going to help them one bit. So there's that. The Vegas Golden Knights, they've got some injuries. They've got Riley Smith, Logan Thompson, and Alec Martinez all out with the injury, but none of them are really have any set time frame, really. The biggest one, I think, is Logan Thompson. He just came back in the last game that he played from a lower body injury just to get another lower body injury. So Logan Thompson. Now, the only nice thing for Vegas is they went out and got Jonathan Quick for that reason, right? To strengthen their goaltending depth as they get into the playoffs. So they have Jonathan Quick. So hopefully, I have a feeling as we get closer to the playoffs, that might be their go-to guy, right? So there's that. The Minnesota Wild, okay? Minnesota Wild, who recently acquired John Klingberg from the Anaheim Ducks. Well, John Klingberg is now injured. Apparently, he's got an upper body injury. Hey, not a big John Klingberg fan. I was when they signed him. The Ducks signed him in the offseason, hoping that he would bring a big return or potentially do so well that maybe the Ducks would consider re-signing him, but the Klingberg experiment was a complete failure. John Klingberg, he has a lot of offensive upside, but his defensive side he is a defenseman, and his defensive side of the game is absolutely horrible. It doesn't even exist. The guy's really bad defensively. Has really good puck moving skills, and he has the ability to put up points for sure. But man, as a defender, there's nothing really. So glad to see Klingberg go. Disappointed for the Ducks in the return on him, but hey, it is what it is, right? The Wild they also acquired Gustav Nyquist from Columbus before the trade deadline. Now he was injured. Okay, I think he had a shoulder injury, and they acquired him anyway, hoping that he would come back in time for a playoff run for the Wild. A lot of the speculation before the trade occurred was that it was a season-ending type of injury. That doesn't seem to be the case as far as the Wild are concerned. He's already started practicing, okay? It's a no contact so far, but he is now practicing with the Wild, his new team, and they're hoping that he comes around and maybe is ready to go come playoff time. So we'll see if that comes to fruition for Nyquist and the Wild. The Columbus Blue Jackets, who out of playoff contention and the number one contender for the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, right? So who really cares? But we'll talk about it anyway. Patrick Laine, injury prone. Patrick Laine, he is out. He's out for a few weeks, 2 to 4 actually, with a tricep strain. Look, Patrick Laine, he's a great player. I feel like he is just an injury prone type of guy. I don't know, man. I I hate the injury-prone guys because you just can't rely on them. And you pay him big money, in this case, Line, he gets paid very well, and yet he's not in the lineup enough to justify it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Line injury issues, and I wouldn't want him on my team strictly for the fact that he's prone to injuries. And it's like, if you're going to pay a guy millions of dollars to play on your team, he better be in that lineup most of the season. I don't know. It's just my opinion, right? Some other news with Columbus, not injury related. Kent Johnson scored a Michigan-style goal, which they should call the Zegras-style goal, maybe. I don't know now. But he scored a Michigan, I think it was against the New York Islanders. Pretty sweet play. He didn't pick it up with his stick kind of like a Zegras does, where he lays his stick blade flat and kind of interesting how Zegras does that. This cat can't flipped it onto his stick in a unique way, but he did score a Michigan-style goal, and it was pretty nice to watch. So if you get a chance, go check out the highlight on Kent Johnson's Michigan goal. That was pretty cool. Let's see, what else do we got? As far as injuries go, that's all I really have as of right now. Let's move on to the playoff picture, shall we? Playoffs. They are so close, okay? We've got about a week left in March. Playoffs start in April. I'd say there's 10 to 12 games average between all the teams left for them to play. If the playoffs started right now, as of this weekend, okay, in the East, you're looking at Boston against Pittsburgh, Carolina and the New York Islanders would face off, Toronto and Tampa, which we all kind of knew that was going to happen. Toronto and Tampa would face off, and the New Jersey Devils against the New York Rangers. So the battle of the New York and New Jersey, they'd be yelling at each other across the Hudson River there. But that's your East playoff output. That's as of today, right? And I don't think it's going to change all that much. I really don't. The only team that may not be in that picture, actually there's two, Pittsburgh, maybe the Islanders, we'll see. But the other six are in for sure. In the West, okay, if it started today, playoffs, Vegas against the Jets, Stars and Seattle would face off, Wild in Colorado. That would be good. That was kind of like last year going at it, right? Colorado and the Wild. LA and Edmonton. So interesting stuff. And in the West, too, it's kind of one of those things where there's really, I don't see there being a lot of changes. The Jets may be the only team that might bow out of that whole picture as the wild card race begins on that end. The East is closer as far as wild cards go. We'll get into that in a second. But as I predicted, the Edmonton Oilers in the Pacific Division have gotten hot. They have moved their way up to third in the Pacific. They're only 2 points behind the Kings, okay? And they're 6 points back of Vegas, who leads the Pacific. Oilers, if they continue to win throughout the remainder of the season, could very well end up first in the Pacific. I mean, wouldn't that be nuts? But Vegas is playing very well. LA is too. So all three teams are doing very well as we get closer to the end of the season in the playoffs. But man, like I said, I've said this in previous videos, that Edmonton will probably surpass the wild card teams and get themselves into the top three of the Pacific. And right now, they're only 2 points back of LA, and they could potentially jump them. Now, even if they did, it would still be Edmonton and LA in the first round. But either way, impressive stuff. Edmonton's making their move a lot like they did last year, guys. And remember, Edmonton went all the way to the Western Conference Final. So, I don't know. Oilers might be their year to go to the Cup. Who knows? So anyways, that aside, in the West, in the wild card picture, okay, let's just look at the Central before I get to the wild card. In the Central, the top three teams, Dallas, the Wild, and Colorado. Here's their points. Dallas has 92, Wild have 91, Colorado has 90. Dude, are you kidding me? They're each separated by 1 point in the Central. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So any one of those teams could end up first. Be interesting to see who does. If you ask me, I'm thinking that Colorado is going to end up number one in the Central. That's just my opinion. But here's the wild card picture in the West. Nashville is only 5 points back, okay, of that final wild card spot, and Calgary is 6. So those two teams still have a shot to get in, and they're chasing Winnipeg. So we'll see. Winnipeg, they beat the Ducks recently to keep their wild card playoff spot there, but they haven't been playing all that great as a whole. So if Winnipeg doesn't start continuing this winning streak and this winning, getting back on the winning streak, I should say, and getting some points so they can solidify that playoff picture spot, look out, because Calgary and Nashville are coming. In the East, look, Boston's hands down number one team in the NHL. They are 20 points ahead of the team behind them, which is the Toronto Maple Leafs. 20 points ahead. They have like 115 points. It's unreal. And Toronto has 95. But looking at the rounds, the matchups right now, like we talked about in previous videos, Toronto and the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning are likely to go at it in the first round. This will be interesting, folks, because we all know, okay, that those of us that know hockey, Toronto and their first round woes, and this, who knows, right? Because Tampa is the team that's been there 3 years in a row to the Cup final. Okay, they won 2 of those 3. They are a proven team when it comes playoff time, right? So that says a lot, and that holds a lot of value too when it comes to making those long playoff runs. They're brutal, and Tampa's been there 3 years in a row. That's either going to hurt them or it's going to be beneficial for them, getting past Toronto in the first round and some of these better teams like Carolina, and then eventually Boston. Going to have to go through Boston at some point to get to the Cup final. A lot of people think Boston's just going to steamroll their way all the way to the Cup. And they very well could. They're that good. But anyways, Toronto's going to have to face Tampa. I don't think that's going to change, and that's going to be an interesting matchup. It really is. That's going to be a fun one for sure. New Jersey. They are only 2 points back of the Carolina Hurricanes, okay? Now, Carolina has a couple games in hand, okay? But and Carolina has 100 points currently. New Jersey is 98, 2 points back. The Devils could potentially jump them, okay, and make their way into first in the Metro. But with those games in hand that Carolina has, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But really like the New Jersey Devils in the East to be one of those dark horses that everybody never expected them to be where they're at right now. Wouldn't it be awesome if they ended up in the Cup final? I mean, wouldn't that be crazy? Or maybe like a New Jersey-Toronto type of Eastern Conference final or something along those lines. I think that would be bitchin'. Absolutely epic. But Boston is the favorite out there. Here's your wild card look. Pittsburgh and Florida are battling it out right now. They're only like a point away from each other. Pittsburgh's currently there. They hold that final wild card spot. Florida is not going away. Okay, so they're going to try. Pittsburgh's going to have to try to stay in. They've been kind of flip-flopping back and forth. One's in, one's out. And, so we'll see what happens, but it's fun to watch. Compared to the West, the East is much closer when it comes to the wild card race than the West is, but fun stuff as we get closer and closer. Playoff picture is starting to come together. Hey, real quick, before we get into the next segment of just some NHL rumors that are roaming around out there, don't forget to go down and subscribe to the channel. I need your guys' help to blow up Ducks Hockey and More and make it as big as I want it to be, which is huge. I really want this channel to grow and blow up, and it has been a lot faster than I expected, but man, I'm determined, and I need your help to do it. So go down and subscribe. All right, moving on. Rumors, okay? There are some rumors. I love talking trade rumors. As you all know, if you watch my channel, I've got lots of videos on the trade rumors leading up to the trade deadline back in March, or earlier this month, I should say. But now that we're getting closer to the off season, as the playoffs are getting closer, now the rumors are going to start heating up for the off-season trades and free agent signings and that kind of thing. So I've been reading some things, just wanted to touch on them. So let's dive right into it. John Gibson of the Anaheim Ducks. He is the number one goaltender of the Ducks. He has been for several years now, and he is hands down one of the best goalies in the NHL. His numbers, if people are going to look at numbers, don't respect that, but you have to remember that the Ducks are a bad team. especially defensively, especially the last few years. So his numbers don't look as good as they really are. This season, John has surpassed all other Anaheim Ducks goaltenders in saves, all-time saves. He is the all-time saves leader so far this year, I believe, as well. Or maybe it's shots faced. Doesn't matter. The guy's money in the net. He really is. He's really, really, really good. And there are some rumors that the Ducks will move him, and that's been the case for a couple of years now. But Pat Verbeek has openly come out and said, "Hey, I'm not going to move my number one goalie unless I get a number one goalie to replace him with, whether it be in a trade or coming up through the ranks." Now, Lucas Dostal is the next one in line for the Anaheim Ducks. He has not been a solidified backup with the Ducks for very long. I mean, with Anthony Stolarz going down this year with injury, Dostal is now the backup, but he needs that backup role for a longer period of time. So I have a feeling if the Ducks do move Gibson, they're going to get somebody that's a number one type of goalie in return. And the two teams are Pittsburgh and Buffalo that I'm hearing are interested. Now, it's interesting stuff. I've talked about the Buffalo connection and Gibson and how I feel like Buffalo is a team that he would do well on. They're a playoff team. They may not make it this year, but they're going to be a playoff team for years to come as we move forward, right? They are that good, and they finally are no longer a cellar-dwelling team. So they have a lot of goaltending prospects coming up through their system. The Buffalo Sabres do, but not a solidified good number one goalie like John Gibson, who's right now in the middle of his prime years. He's got a good, I'd say, 3-4 really good solid years left. Maybe a little bit more if he can stay healthy. And I think Buffalo is a team that he would probably do well on and would need a guy like John Gibson. And the Ducks could get a goaltender in return for him. I don't know if it would be a number one, but they'll find one in the offseason if they made a trade like that. So that being said, Buffalo, and then the other team, his hometown, John Gibson's hometown, the Pittsburgh Penguins, are also a team that may be interested in John this offseason. Tristan Jarry is an injury-prone guy that when he's healthy and playing well, he's a good goaltender, but he's not consistently in the net. And so I think there's a lot of rumors that Pittsburgh he is I think a UFA at the end of the year, and the Penguins might move him or, replace him with John Gibson. Long story short, Gibson might be going home to Pittsburgh, his hometown. So interesting stuff. I would love to see Gibson go back home to Pittsburgh, just because I know he deserves a chance at winning the Cup. Is Pittsburgh a Cup contender, though? That's the question. I don't know. I don't think so. I think they've got a lot of aging players, kind of like the Capitals, where those years are just kind of dying off. And Pittsburgh's going to have to go into a retool. But either way, those two teams are interested in John. Zegras. Trevor Zegras, also another Anaheim Ducks situation where there's been some talk about what's Anaheim going to do and Pat Verbeek going to do with him. Are they going to? He's a restricted free agent at the end of the year. They're going to sign him, okay? Or they're going to make him an offer. But Zegras, I think, wants a long-term, $8 or $9 million type of gig, right? But is Anaheim willing to do that? I think Anaheim probably isn't ready to do that with a guy that's still learning. He's still developing. He's still maturing, right? His defensive play isn't quite there yet. It's gotten a lot better throughout this year. You can see the improvements that Zegras is making, but we still need to see some more, a lot more. He needs to get bigger and stronger. He needs to get better on the face-offs. He also needs to control his emotions, okay? He gets a little out of control sometimes. We all know Zegras likes to chirp and talk, and sometimes he gets carried away. So I think there's going to be more of a bridge deal offered to him, more along the lines of maybe a 3-year type of thing, not quite as much money as he'd like, so that we can see his progression in the next few years. If he is way better come the end of that, he's going to land a big one, right? We know that. But I think Anaheim's going to play it smart. Verbeek's going to play it smart and give him a bridge deal. That's my opinion. That's probably what I would do if I was in his position, but I'm not, so who knows. But moving on, some other rumors that are out there. Jack Campbell, okay? Is Edmonton going to move Campbell to San Jose in return for an Erik Karlsson? Yes, people, this Erik Karlsson Edmonton, connection is still there. Okay, Edmonton was rumored to be in on Erik Karlsson before the trade deadline. Didn't pan out because of Karlsson's contract and how much it's worth. Guys paid a lot. I think it's like $11.5 million. So Jack Campbell, though, could be part of a trade in the offseason to bring Karlsson over to Edmonton. Interesting stuff, but that is floating around out there right now. Similar to the trade deadline rumors. Some other stuff. Toronto Maple Leafs, okay, went out and landed a big fish in Ryan O'Reilly from St. Louis before the trade deadline. Ryan O'Reilly, and now I think he's injured still. He should be back, I think, in time for this playoff run that they're going to go on. But what do the Leafs do with Ryan O'Reilly come the offseason? He's a UFA. Do they keep him? Here's my opinion. If he has a really good playoff run with the Maple Leafs and they go far, and Ryan O'Reilly has a big impact in that, yeah, they're going to try and re-sign him. They'll figure out something, I think. If he doesn't have a huge impact, whether he's injured or something like that, I don't think they do. I think they move on without him and just cut their losses, or maybe try to trade him before that free agency opens or something like that. But Ryan O'Reilly, Toronto Maple Leafs. Comment below, Leafs fans. Tell me what you think. One more. New Jersey. The New Jersey Devils. They've got a bit of a pickle in the fact that they've got several players signed long-term. Dougie Hamilton, Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, Andre Palat. All these guys are signed long-term. Now, they just went out and got Timo Meier, which, for all intents and purposes, there's no reason they went out and got that guy at the trade deadline, being as good as he is and as young as he is, to not keep him around long-term, right? So Timo Meier is expected to sign a long-term contract with New Jersey, but what do they do with Jesper Bratt? Jesper Bratt, he's a young player who's doing very well this year and will command quite a contract extension, But does New Jersey have the cap space, or will they? They could make it work, yes. With a lot of other unrestricted free agents they have, they could make it work if they don't keep some of those players around and re-sign them. But then becomes a factor of do you hurt your team long term by losing a lot of your depth by dumping so much money into 5 players? So I have a feeling Jesper Bratt is probably going to be kind of left out, hung to dry, and then New Jersey's going to have no choice but to trade him, get rid of him, try to get something in return. So Pat Verbeek, you should start talking to the New Jersey Devils and maybe bring Jesper Bratt to Anaheim. That's what I'm saying. But hey, I think he might get moved to somebody. Hey, guys, that's all I got for this one. Playoffs are coming, so buckle up. It's about to get crazy, okay? Playoff picture is heating up. Teams are pretty much set except for some wild card positions. So definitely excited to see all that. So lots to talk about as we get closer. And then once the playoffs begin, Ducks Hockey and More will be coming to you weekly with some playoff roundup stuff. So definitely look for that coming here in the next few weeks coming out. So, hey, thanks for watching. Go down, subscribe, comment below. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree, disagree, you name it. I love you guys' comments. And as always, thanks for helping me make Ducks Hockey and More super fun. Let's blow it up together. I need your help. So subscribe and let's do this. And don't forget, smash the like button on this so I can get these videos out to more people. Okay? Hey, thanks again, guys. We'll see you on the next one. See ya.